Well, they get that ready. And tell me about how did this get started? What was the spark that created this idea for you?
Actually, it was a meeting, a very private meeting at the end of Ramadan 2 years ago when I met a programmer called Mohammed from Baghdad. And we're just having a casual chat, and he was explaining to me how he came to Germany 2 years ago. And of course, when you flee from your home country, you very often don't bring your laptop because it would be dangerous. And he was explaining how he couldn't continue programming because he didn't have a laptop. So he would go to the local library and try to kind of learn a little bit by himself. And that really was the drop of the penny for me, thinking, wow, we have so much talent that could join the startup and the tech industry, so why don't we make the opportunities for them a little bit easier to join? And that was the beginning.
Amazing.
Wonderful. Great, so good morning. Thanks for making it up this early in Berlin and then finding your way here. It's a great pleasure to be here and really talk about the beginning and then why we created ReDI School of Digital Integration. So I think this is probably the picture that most people have seen of ReDI School. Of course, it's Mark Zuckerberg sitting in the middle, smiling, having a good chat with one of my students, Rami Rihavi, who is a Syrian refugee from Aleppo. And what they're discussing is the future of VR and how VR can help connect families, even if your mom might be in Aleppo and you're sitting here in Berlin, but really how technology and humanity can come together. And in essence, this is really what ReDI School is. But of course, Mark can't come and visit us every day. And really, ReDI School is about how can we, on an eye level, connect the local tech community with the newcomers who are interested to join startups here in Germany. But actually, the story of ReDI School started quite a long time ago. This picture was taken in the late 1920s, and the guy that you see with the little red circle around his head is actually my grandfather, who was born in Germany, and him and his father were running a printing press, printing socialist and pacifist books and newsletters. And as you can imagine, in 1933, when Hitler came to power, that was not a popular thing to do. So after being put to prison several times, being publicly humiliated, they decided that it was time to leave their home country, Germany, and actually sought refuge and became refugees, political refugees, in Denmark. So as you can see, there's actually some resemblance, as one of my colleagues was pointing out yesterday. But this is really where I come from. It is a refugee family, just 2 or 3 generations later. So of course, when the refugee crisis started developing, or the humanitarian crisis started developing in Europe in 2015, that was the point of time where I really started questioning myself, what am I going to do? My family were able to survive because they were given shelter, they were given opportunities in Denmark. So how was I going to respond to the almost 800,000 people, young people that were coming to Germany with dreams and with talent? And if you look at it, about 70% have not found a job. 70% of the refugees who arrive here have not found a job within the first 5 years of arriving in Europe, which I think is a tremendous crisis of human potential and also for our society. So the question was, of course, how might we turn a problem into an opportunity? And what we're really trying to do is to create what we like to call a win-win-win situation. We want to find a solution that is good for German society, a solution that is good for German industry, and of course, ultimately, that is also good for the newcomers who have arrived in Germany. So the question that we asked ourselves was, of course, where are the future of jobs? In the past, Turkish migrants might have come here and now they're driving our cars. But in the future, what about the taxi drivers who will be without a job? This is not a sustainable solution to the talents who are coming here. What kind of skill sets would they need? What kind of industry should we really train them for in order to make sure that they have sustainable jobs, both here in Germany, and also ultimately, if they hopefully one day will be able to return home? And as it was said earlier, at the moment there's 51,000 available jobs in the IT sector in Germany. This is actually 18% more than we had last year. And this is a trend not just in Germany, but that we can see all over Europe and also all over the world. There is an incredible demand for talent in the industry, and this is really what we're trying to tackle with ReDI School. One of the principles that has been really important for us from the day that we started ReDI School was really to make sure that the refugees were involved in the entire development. So from the first day that I met Mohammed in the refugee camp in Buch, we really just started going out and involving the people who had ideas and who really wanted to take part in ReDI School. So this has been the approach all along and remains the approach because there's so much that we can learn by working together. So we got started first with a pilot project in December 2015. We started with 12 students and quite soon realized that a lot of the ideas that we had weren't maybe working all that well. So for instance, we had gone out and we started asking for donations of old laptops from private people. But you can imagine if you're trying to run a tech class teaching Ruby on Rails, and everyone in the room has got 12 different laptops, it's not really working. So for us, we got all the more than 50 laptops that we had collected, donated it to a different refugee project, and then we started going out to companies like Zalando, Microsoft, eBay, and asked them if they could donate some of their old laptops. So right now, if you have more than 10 laptops that you're not using anymore, we are certainly looking for more to support our students. From the first small pilot we did, we realized there is really a demand here. We started a non-profit organization, a social enterprise here in Berlin. It took about 3 months to do because of the paperwork. But after that, we could really start with the first class for 3 months, helping 42 students. After graduating the first class, we realized actually we can start doing so much more. So instead of just focusing on Ruby on Rails, we started looking at what could we do for children, or what could we do for women, and actually closing the circle and say, could our previous students come back as mentors and teachers to kind of pay it forward and help teach more people? So here's Asem, who is teaching our kids class. From there, we went on and said, well, Ruby on Rails is not the only thing that we can do. The tech industry demands very, very different skill sets, all the way from big data analysis to UX design. And we could also attract a lot more volunteers if we were able to open up our portfolio. So in the autumn of 2016, we had 17 different courses running with about 135 students. But that's also when we realized that we're only a small team of 2.5 full-time equivalent, taking care of a community of about 500 volunteers and students. So we actually decided to just try to stabilize, actually take in a little few students in order to really make sure that the quality of the product that we were delivering, which is the classes, would be kept high. A lot of people ask us, so what are you teaching? Can you, within 3 months, teach a person who has never touched properly a computer or the back end of a computer before? Can you teach them to code? Of course, we can't. We are not even a full-time program for 3 months. We teach 2 times per week for about 3 hours. So what we can do is to give curiosity. We can open the door and give the right kind of network to the field of programming. Here are some examples, but what is important for us is to really build up a program where you can start from just having an interest in technology to hopefully develop into becoming a junior developer in the future. So how does it actually work? First of all, as I said, we get donations from big companies who are donating laptops, even donating laptop bags, so that our students, 24 hours a day for the 3 months that they're taking part in the course, have access to a laptop. All our teachers are volunteers. At the moment, we have about 60 active teachers. And this is really important for us because during the day, they might be working for Microsoft or they might be working for a startup in Berlin. But after hours, then they come to us and they teach for a couple of hours. The good thing is that we've seen an example, for instance, of one of our teachers working for Rocket Internet, who really had a good relationship to one of his students. And he said, well, why don't you come and join me just for a day to kind of follow me, shadowing me, to really see what does my normal day look like. And at the end of that, I can take you to our HR manager. You can have a chat with them. And that way, really trying to optimize and accelerate the student's route into the job market. But we're not just working with volunteers who are coming after hours, we're also working with corporate volunteers. So some of the courses that we are running is taking place at Cisco and SAP, where Cisco, for instance, are doing a cybersecurity course. It's taught by people at Cisco, taking place at Cisco, in a Cisco-relevant skill set. And what it really becomes is a 3-month recruiting process, where the teachers can see, who do I get along with well, who could I see fits into our team, and who has the steepest learning curve that we might be able to actually hire some of the students at the end of the day. The way that we work is very project-oriented, so we always kick off the new semester with a design thinking class, where our students are looking at what are some of the challenges that they are facing in their daily life in Berlin, and then turning those into paper prototypes of websites and apps that they would like to see happen. Then they work closely together over the course of 3 months, combining theory and practice. Learning looks often like this. We don't like that the teacher is standing in front. It's very much about peer learning and that it's a community trying to learn together. And what we also like, and what I would highly encourage you to do, is come up and talk to me afterwards if you would like to host one of our student groups and take them in and show you what you're doing at work. Because one of the challenges when you are a refugee is that you often stay inside of what we call the refugee bubble. You study German only with refugees. You live in a refugee camp only with refugees. And it's actually really hard to get the right kind of professional contacts that you would need in order to hopefully get a paid internship or a job in the future. And just having somebody who is welcoming you into the company or the organization who can show you around and have a bit of a chat really makes a huge difference. But of course, what we're trying to do is not just help our students into jobs. We're also trying to influence the dialogue around refugees and about integration in Germany. And we're very happy that in April we had Angela Merkel come and actually visit the school and have a chat to our students for 60 minutes to really try to understand how the German government can help improve their route and accelerate the route into the job market. But at the end of the day, what we're looking at is really that we want to create talent and we want to create role models, because I think the students that we are working with are probably representatives of the top 5% of refugees who have arrived in Germany. And what we try to encourage them to do is to really speak out and get a voice and inspire other people to pursue either an academic career or a career in business in Germany. But because we have such a project-oriented approach to learning, what we have also seen is actually that 4 startups have already come out of ReDI School that are still running. The most famous one so far has probably been Bureaucracy, which has not been launched yet. But what it is, it's an app that is helping newcomers in Germany navigate the bureaucratic jungle, all the paperwork. And I don't think this is just necessarily something that refugees are facing. It is something that I think probably all expats who have arrived in Germany could need this kind of navigation app. At the end of the 3-month course, we always have a demo day. The next one is on the 22nd of July. So if you're in Berlin on that day, please come by. And this is where you will see all our students on stage pitching their ideas and expressing the learning that they have had for the last 3 months. We're not yet a certified institution in Germany. We are working on that. It's a lot of paperwork, but it is what we're hoping to do one day so that we can get government support. But what you get when you're studying with us is a personal recommendation letter from us and from the teachers, as well as, of course, the code that you have created that you can find on GitHub. The good question, does it work? And what we can see is that about 30% of our previous students are returning to us to take more courses because they haven't found a job yet. The good news is that about 30% of our students are actually returning back to university, and 40% have either started their own business, they are in paid jobs or in paid internships. And I haven't got the numbers from Job Center, they're harder to find, but I can say that our numbers are significantly better than what the government can show at the moment. If you would like to help, the best way is really to volunteer. As I said, you can volunteer for 3 months if you're really into it, but you could also say, actually, I would like to invite some of the ReDI students to come in, and I'll show them around in my business. There's a million other ways, so come up and talk to me afterwards if you're interested. What does the future look like for ReDI? At the moment, I would say the first startup process is really over. At the moment, we are more or less sustainable in Berlin and are really looking at how do we expand and scale the idea. Probably next stop is going to be Munich and Hamburg, but we have also seen, and I'm really excited about this, is that there's a big need inside of the refugee camps in Jordan. And I've talked to the Norwegian Refugee Council several times, and they're looking at how do we scale tech, school, understanding and learning inside of the refugee camps in the areas around Syria. This is just 2 weeks ago when I was doing a focus group with 10 people in Irbid in Jordan. So that's it from me. If you want to talk afterwards, please come up, have a coffee and a chat. And we're at Nordbahnhof in Berlin Mitte. You're always welcome to come by. Thank you.